I'll record on this computer.
Sure.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you everyone for joining us today, this morning. The Cultural Integration Fellowship was founded in 1951 by Haridas and Bina Chaudhary as a center of universal religion and spiritual practice. In keeping with the spirit of unity and diversity, we honor the spiritual traditions of diverse cultures. Our mission is to foster mutual respect for all cultural, spiritual, and religious practices. This morning, we are pleased to present a lecture demonstration of Hindustani vocal music with Aditya and Ashitara Das. This program will start with a brief presentation on the Guru Shishya Parampara, cultural ethos and background of Indian classical music. The second part will start with a brief presentation. No, the second part will include a formal lecture demonstration, vocal, by Aditya Das with a presentation of Raga Bhimpalasi, full Khyal, and Ashidhara Das will offer a demonstration of Raga Kedar. Is that the correct
Yes.
pronunciation? And a Bhajan in Pairav. So Aditya and Ashidhara were disciples of Shrimati Lakshmi Shankar ji until her passing away in December 2015, and they are now students of Shrimati Shubhangi Sakalkar. They are members of our CIF family and a part of Bay Area Anjali. Before we start, I would like to offer a prayer written by Haridas Chaudhary. This one is called Peace, Shanti. Om Brahman Shatyam Shivam Sundaram. Reality is Shanti, ineffable peace, transcendental calmness. Peace is freedom from inner conflicts and tensions. Peace is the conquest of all violent impulsions. Peace is constructive cooperation with one another. Peace is the sinking of all differences in collective endeavor. May the spirit of peace pervade all human relations. May we establish peace in all spheres of action. May we refashion life on its stable foundation. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace be with you. Okay, well, please welcome Aditya and Ashidhara Das. Thank you both very much.
Thank you so much, Rita Di. Those very kind words. And this is just like we are at home. So thank you. Thank you for joining us. It just seems like all of you are in our living room. So this is the way Boitoks are meant to be, small gatherings of uh, classical music. That's in fact the way that our music is meant to be shared and heard, is in small gatherings rather than in large auditoria and stadia and the kind of marketing gimmicks that you have right now. So this is really bringing us back to our roots in a sense, and of course we have a very similar environment at CIF, but this is a new format certainly and opens it up to a few other people who perhaps in the normal course couldn't be there in person. So the way let's get on with our program as we've outlined it. So my wife Oshidhara will take you through some of the background of Hindustani classical vocal and our gurus, and how the music is presented and taught. And she will introduce Bhajan, a devotional piece of music, which is also set in Raga Kedar. So we elected to just stick to two rags, Kedar and Bhimpalasi, instead of including Bhairav as well. So the bhajan will be also in a rag called Anandi Kedar, which is a mixture of two ragas, Anandi and Kedar, and Oli will explain that, and she will outline a small set of slides and a talk on our gurus, Lokhi Shrimati Lakshmi Shankar, Shubhangi Sakalkar, and Oli's guru in Delhi, Yudhishthir Nath. So without further ado, let me share her slide presentation. Okay, here we are. Okay, I hope you can all see that. And I'll just put it into, okay, all yours.
So, good morning to everyone, and I want to first of all thank CIF and Rita D, Cultural Integration Fellowship, and Rita D for giving us this opportunity to share our experiences with Hindustani classical music. So I'd like to also pay my respects to Shrimati Lakshmi Shankar. And in fact, this is a bhajan that she composed. I wanted to share this recording in which I was learning this bhajan from Lokhi Dida. As I was telling you, this is a bhajan that she herself set to music in Rag Anandi Kedar. And Kedar, in fact, is a very well known rag, and it is from Kalyan Thaat. And it is a rag in which it's a Shadava Sampurna nature. So in its ascent, when it goes up the scale, 6 notes are used, and its avroh, when it descends, only 7 notes are used. So its aro has sama, mapa, dhama, nidhasa, and avro has sa, nidhapa, mapa, dhapa, ma, sa, re, sa. And its pakad is sa, ma, ga, pa, ma, dha, pa, ma, re, sa. So the most prominent note is ma. Sa, ma, ga, pa, ma, re, sa, ma, re, sa. And the second most prominent is sa. Ma, re, sa. The time to sing this rag is at night, in the first prahar of the night. So in fact, I'm going to share this particular bandish with you later, but right now I'd like to discuss more about the nature of Hindustani classical music as such. So in fact, Hindustani classical music is a very ancient form of music, and initially Carnatic classical music, which is sung in the southern part of India, and North Indian classical music were the same. But somewhere in the 12th century, North Indian classical music in fact deviated from Carnatic classical music. And in fact, there is a photo of Pandit Vishnu Narayan Bhatkande. So he was the one who classified all of this music. So we can understand. He sort of systemized it so that we can read about it and understand about the different thoughts, different rags, when to sing which rag. So in fact, this brings us to thought. Thought may consist of up to 7 scale degrees or swaras. I can't see that one. Typical rendition of Hindustani rag involves 2 stages. So first there is the alap, which is a rhythmically free improvisation on the rules for the raga. So for example, if we are considering Kedar, then we would slowly go over all the notes in that rag. And of course, there is going to be a sthai, an antara. Many times when we share a rag, then there is a Vilambit bandish, which is slow. There is a Madhyalaya bandish, which is faster, and there is a Drut bandish, which is fastest of all. Dhrupad is more ancient than the style of music we are presenting today. We are presenting Khyal, but Dhrupad is an even more ancient style of music. Lakshmi ji, Shrimati Lakshmi Shankar, our guru, she sang Khyal, and this is a picture of her presenting Khyal with her daughter Vijayashri. The instruments which are used in Hindustani classical music include the tabla, the pakhavaj, sarangi, violin, bansuri, harmonium, etc. And in fact, it's interesting that that the whole day and night is divided into 8 sections in Indian classical music, Hindustani classical music. So 4, and each section is called a prahar. 4 prahar for the day and also 4 prahar for the night. So in fact, we are considering Kedar today. Kedar is sung after sunset. So it's the first prahar of the night time. We have different gharanas in Hindustani classical music. This is a picture of Guru Pandit Ravi Shankar ji learning from his guru Ustad Alauddin Khan, and Ustad Ali Akbar Khan is also learning since he was the son of Ustad Alauddin Khan. In fact, our guru, Shrimati Lakshmi Shankar, she learned from the Patiala Gharana. Our current guru, Shrimati Shubhangi Sakalkar, is from Gwalior, and also Atrauli Gharana. And of course, I'd also like to share about my guru who taught me when I was a child, Sri Yudhishthir Nand. He was from the Rampur Gharana, which is in Uttar Pradesh. And of course, Srimati Lakshmi Shankar, she is from the Patiala Gharana. And we have Srimati Shubhangi Sakalkar, from whom we are learning currently. She, in fact, learned from different teachers, including Mrs. Kunda Vaishampayan, Dr. Prabha Atre, and also Vidushi Padma Talwarkar. And she did her master's in music from Bombay University, where she received a gold medal. So that is all I have as a sort of a theoretical basis to an understanding of Hindustani classical music. And now I am handing over the stage to Aditya. So thank you.
Thank you, Oli. So for that nice introduction, it lays the groundwork for the actual Rag presentation. So this is, as Oli mentioned, a Khyal style. So Khyal style was developed in Akbar's court, specifically by Tansen and Amir Khusro. So the Dhrupad style came from, a lot like Gregorian chanting in Western music. It came from essentially our Vedic chants, and that was extrapolated to the Dhrupad style of music. And the Khyal style was much more ornamental and included sort of demonstrations of, cascading tans and bringing out the notes in a more ornamental fashion, so that you could essentially create something which would draw the listener in. It's not to say that Dhrupad style doesn't draw the listener in, but you really have more fireworks with the Khyal style. So it's a lot like, let's say, pop or rock music, as opposed to sort of classical vocal arias and things like that, the equivalents in Western music. So the rag I'm going to present or try to present is Rag Bhimpalasi. And Bhimpalasi is a flower, a lot like the color of the kurta that I'm wearing. So it's sung in the afternoon, and it's an afternoon rag. So as Oli mentioned, we have instruments accompanying our music, and this is one such. It's called a tanpura. It has 4 strings, so it's a drone instrument. So this is pa, pa, sa, lower sa. So this is a drone that is continuously played in our music. Okay, and we have, I hope you can hear the tabla. It's not a live tabla. It's an electronic tabla, because given our circumstance currently, we have to. Can you hear that? Okay. So what this is, it's essentially the rhythmic time cycle to accompany the initial portion of the raga, which is called the Vilambit cycle or the slow cycle. So Bhimpalasi is the following notes. Ni sa ga ma pa ni sa sa ni dha pa ma ga re sa. So you have the ascending and the descending scale that I just sang. So as Oli mentioned, the principal note of this rag is ma, and the secondary note is sa. Ni sa ga re sa, ni sa ga ma ga re ni sa ma ga re sa. Another thing we have in our music is meaned or slides. So this is not really seen in Western music. So where you go ni sa ga ma ga re sa. So you slide through the notes. It's a circular motion as you go up. So the alap or the introduction is a lot like the first movement in any Western classical piece. It's slow. It's the adagio. So that's where you're trying to bring in the notes of the rag and you're slowly going up the scale to the upper sa. And when you reach that upper sa, you have to, that's the climax of the sthai. That is the introductory portion of the rag. So usually it involves very simple words. So in this case, the Vilambit portion is in language known as Braj Bhasha, which is an ancestor of Hindi. So it says Par na payo tori mahima sabki तोरी महिमा सबकी सुने ऐसो कहत है मेहरबान पार न पायो. So it's saying, God, I haven't been able to find you. I haven't been able to bridge the gap between me and you. Par na payo. Tori mahima, your greatness is heard by all. Sabki sune. Aisa kahat hai meherban. Par na payo. So I am this struggling spirit who's trying to reach you, God. And so the Antara says, that's after you reach the Sa, Deenana Dukhike, the people who are impoverished or poor or in sorrow, Deena Dukhike, Palanahar, you are their savior. Rakhiyo Aso, so protect me in the same way that you protect the poor and the people who are suffering. So this is the simple bandish. After that, so you go up the scale in stages, taking 3 or 4 notes at a given time. Ni sa ga re sa, ni sa ma ga re sa. And you'll stay for a little while longer on that principal note, which is the ma, before you hit the pa. So these are the sort of phraseology that you try to bring out of the rag. And all our gurus would say that you should see the rag standing in front of you, and it's the virtual embodiment of God when you sing. but I haven't seen that image as yet. So I am not really up to snuff, to say the least. And another of our great Indian musicians, Ustad Bismillah Khan, used to say about our music, "Ek janam suno, ek janam सीखो, तीसरी जन्म में यदि वक्त हो तो पेश करने की कोशिश करना." So he said that in one lifetime you listen, one lifetime you learn. In your third lifetime, if you have time in the midst of all your practice, then try to perform or to present. So you can imagine the sheer audacity of us in trying to present this to you at this stage where we are essentially incomplete learners ourselves. So anyway, so once one reaches the climax, the apasa, you go to the antara, the second portion of the introductory bandish. Then we come on to the Madhyalaya, that is the medium tempo fast stance. Then you start enunciating the scale faster. Ni sa ga re sa, ni sa ga ma ga re sa, all within that 12-beat time cycle. So when you start this slow portion, I'll play the tabla again. So it's like this. Dhin, dhin, 2, dha, ge, ti, re, ke, te, tun, na, kat. That's the 7th beat. Ta, 8, 9, 9, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 1. That first beat that we get back to is called the sum. So the composition ends on the sum. Pa, re, na, pa, yo. That pa is on the first beat. And then you keep extrapolating this note by note, going through the cycles and getting back to sum every time. And you move on. Then you come to the faster portions of the cycle, which is the medium tempo. It's the beat is accelerated, and if there was a live tabaliya, like Onup, for example, who usually plays with us, he is not able to be here. So we have this electronic tabla playing in the background. So that's what happens. So you get to a faster tempo, and then you go to the next compositions, which are set in Teentaal. Teentaal is 16-beat cycle. So it's dha, dhin, dhin, dha, dhin, dhin, dha, tin, tin, ta, dhin, dhin, dha, te, dha. So you go through 4 beats, 4 times 4, 16 beats. So that's a 16-beat time cycle. The earlier time cycle that I mentioned of 12 beats, in the Vilambit or in the slow portion, it's really 48 beats. So it's 12 times 4 as we just went through that cycle. So, all right, without further ado, let's begin. So this is Rag Bhimpalasi. And if there's time at the end, we can talk about other specifics. So. nam pa pa re nam pa सबकी सुने ऐसो कहते पार ना पार ना पायो पार ना दीन दुनिया के पालन रखियो Sagama pa ma pa ma pa ni dha ma pa sa ni dha pa pa dha ma pa ga pa ri na pa ni sa ga ma pa ni sa sa ni dha pa ma ga re sa ni sa ga ma pa ni sa ni sa ga re sa ni sa ga ma ga re sa ni sa ni da pa ma ga re sa pa re na pa ni sa ga ma pa ni sa ga re sa ni sa ga re sa ni da pa ga ma pa ni sa ni sa ga re sa ni da pa ga ma pa ni sa ni da pa ma pa ni da pa ma ga re sa ni sa pa ma ga re sa pa sa ni da pa ma pa ga re ga sa re ni sa ni sa pa ni ma pa ga ma ga re sa pa re na pa yo pa re na pa yo to re महिमा सबके सुने सो कहते हैं मेहर So that concludes the introductory portion of the Vilambit Ektaal, and the Madhyalaya Ektaal. Now I'll move on to the Bandish compositions in Teentaal, set to 16 beats. So the words of the first Bandish, again, these composition, Bandish means composition. So the words of this first composition are Java Hude Sa Ab Ghar Ma. So this is about somebody who's going home and is thinking about the joys of going home and the people he's going to meet, and he or she, and they're so overcome that their eyes fill with tears. So it's a very simple, literally 2-line Bandish, but again, the focus is not so much on the words but on the notes of the rag and how the interplay with the words happen in the time cycle of 16 beats. So it's Java hu desa ab ghar ma, Java hu desa ab ghar ma, ubharayo ri O manwari, Java hu desa. Java hu desa, I go home. So this is again in Braj Bhasha, which is a ancestor of Hindi. Milan so, this is the Antara, the second portion of the composition. Milan so aave मेरो जो संघाते, मिलन so aave. I meet all my friends and my loved ones. Batiya karate akhiyan. My eyes speak a language all of their own and fill with tears. So this is Java Hundesa, followed by a Drut Bandish, which is in faster still Teentaal, called Biraj mein dhoom machaye Sham. So Biraj is where Krishna, Sham is Krishna. So Krishna is having a rollicking time with all his gopis and his followers. So the second composition in Drut Teentaal is Biraj mein dhoom machaye Sham. Kaise jaun apne dham. So this is a song that the gopi, his girlfriends are singing, basically saying that how can I go home now that Krishna is dancing in the Vrindavan gardens. Biraj mein dhoom. So there are two. The first one is in Madhyalaya Teentaal, which is moderate 16-beat cycle, and then the quicker tempo. संगाते मिलन सुहावे मेरो जो संगाते बतिया बतिया करते किया भरायो रे जाऊं देसा अब घर मारी जाऊं देसा अब घर मारी जाऊं देसा अब घर मारी जाऊं देसा जाऊं देसा जाऊं देसा अब घर मां जाऊं देसा अब घर मां मिलन सुहावे मेरो जो संघाते मिलन सुहावे मेरो जो संगाते मिलन सुहावे मेरो जो संगाते बतिया करते अखियां भरायो रे जाऊं देसा जाऊं देसा जाऊं देसा जाऊं देसा अब घर मानी जाऊं देसा जाऊं देसा जाऊं देसा बिरज में धूम मचाए हम बिरज में धूम मचाए हम बिरज में धूम मचाए हम बिरज में धूम मचाए शाम बिरज में धूम मचाए शाम बिरज में धूम मचाए हम बिरज में धूम मचाए शाम बिरज में धूम मचाए हाँ बिरज में धूम मचाए शाम बिरज में धूम मचाए शाम बिरज में धूम मचाए हम बिरज में धूम मचाए हम कैसी जाऊं अपने धाम बिरज में सब सखियन मिले हो लिख लेते हैं सब सखियन मिले हो लिख लेते हैं अखियाँ डार गुलाल बिरज में धूम मचाए हम बिरज में धूम मचाए शाम बिरज में धूम मचाए शाम बिरज में धूम बिरज Namaste. So that was rendering. Thank you. Thank you all for your patience and for listening. And now Uli will finish off with her bundish in Rag Kedar as promised. So. আমি চাপা দেবো?
Okay, so
তানপুরাটা হ্যাঁ
So hello, namaste, and I wanted to share with you the bandish from Rag Kedar, because originally remember we had started this Zoom session with a bhajan which was in Anandi Kedar, which had been the music was set by our Guru Shrimati Lakshmi Shankar. So that bhajan was this is Anandi Kedar. We will now go over Kedar Rag, and remember I had shown you the slide about Rag Kedar. It is from Thaat Kalyan, and if we consider its notes are something like मीत पियरवा सदगुरु नाम करो सुमिरनवा सोच समझा. सोच समझ मन 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 मीत पियरवा सदगुरु नाम करो सुमिरनवा घड़ी घड़ी पल पल उमर घटक सब घड़ी घड़ी पल पल घड़ी घड़ी पल पल घड़ी घड़ी पल पल उमर घटक सब आज हो चितमति मंद चतरवा सोच समझ मन मीत पियरवा सदगुरु नाम करो सुमिरनवा. So I wanted to thank all of you for your patience, and Aditya is here.
So, Ensho, thank you all for listening. That brings us to the end of our presentation. I believe we have a few minutes, so if there are any questions or any burning issues, we're ready to interested in your feedback.
Well, thank you both very much for a beautiful presentation. Really enjoyed it. Okay, so if people would like to share anything, you please feel free to go ahead and turn your microphones on and your videos on if you like. Completely optional. Thank you. Yes, Michael.
I just want to thank you and say that worked very well. The sound balance was very.
Oh, that's really, such good feedback, because we have this gizmo here, which is supposed to be a useful speaker, and I guess if you could hear all the sounds, then that was good.
It, it sounded very good. Could hear everything. Although I do miss seeing your wonderful tabla player, Anukin.
I know. There's no comparison. With a live tabla, you see those beats. I mean, can be ornamented in. This is just a electronic gizmo that goes on playing the same cycle in the same repetitive pattern. But there's no comparison with a live tabla.
It worked very well. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. It's so good to see all of you, really, and Mashi and everybody.
We enjoyed your play. I just have one comment.
Huh.
That is that I think the Khyal is more like jazz music.
It is. It is. It is. There's a lot of free form, and
Correct.
that's one of the disadvantages or drawbacks of our music. Whereas in Western music, everything is written, right? So whether you're playing Mozart or Beethoven or Haydn, the notes are the same. The notes don't vary. That's a lot like the South Indian musical format. But in our North Indian Hindustani vocal format, you're sitting in front of your teacher and she'll just say that, this is the Aroha, this is the Avroha, now start singing. What am I going to sing? You have absolutely no clue. And Lakshmi ji, who was she was great pals with my grandmother. And I didn't know that I don't remember that I had actually met her when I was a little over 1 year old in Calcutta. And we met up again in Los Angeles when her brother-in-law, Pandit Ravi Shankar, was playing at a concert. So I pushed my way backstage. And, my grandma was one of his first students. So he looked at me and said, "Umar Nati?" Oh, he wrapped me in a big hug and took me along to meet Lokhi Dida. And I call her Lokhi Dida because she took one look at me and said, "Umar Nati? Uma's grandson? Uma's grandson is my grandson." So I said, "That's great because I'm going to sit on your head and you're going to teach me music." So we're sitting across from each other. It's our first lesson. And she says, "Sing Sa." I said, "What?" She says, "Sing Sa." So I said, "I'm one of the greatest vocalists on this planet. You're asking me to sing Sa. Are you crazy?" He says, "No, sing Sa." So I said, "All right, I'll give you a Sa like you've never heard before." So I sang Sa. You know what the response was? In a matter of a millisecond, the response was, "I heard all the Shoptoshur, the entire octave in your Sa. Please sing Sa again." We were singing Sa for 45 minutes, and that was my first lesson. And this was brought home in no uncertain terms when a journalist asked Ustad Ali Akbar Khan, and Oli showed you a picture of both of them, Pandit Ravi Shankar and Ustad Ali Akbar Khan, learning from their guru, Ustad Alauddin Khan. And Ali Akbar Khan was asked by this journalist, "Khan Sahib, you play in all these venues around the globe. Doesn't anything make you nervous?" And the answer was instantaneous. He said, "Ki mera sa theek se lage." That my sa is true. And when I heard that, I said, I'm never going to question the sa again, ever in my life. So, that is, that's what your Guruji transmits to you. And in our music, nothing is written. So when Mashi said it's a lot like jazz, it is literally true because you can hear the same performance of the same rag from different gharanas that Oli pointed to in her presentation. So the gharanas are like families, are like lineages. So it's guru to shishya to shishya to shishya and so on. So your students, what they imbibe and what they present is an essential part of carrying on that lineage. And now, of course, no one has the patience to go to Maihar or to go to some remote village in Madhya Pradesh and sit there for years, decades at a time, learning this music, because no one has any patience. It's all, it must be instantaneous. But I must say another thing, while jazz, Mashi's comment about jazz is completely free format. So here in the rag, you're bounded by the scale. So within the scale, you can do whatever gymnastics, whatever fireworks you like, but it has to be within that scale, and you cannot bring in extraneous notes and so on. So for example, the bhajan that Oli sang was in Anandi, Kedar. So it's a mixture of two rags. So that's fine. You can mix two rags with defined notes in specific manners with them. But it's amazing, really. It's a treasure trove of stuff. Like for example, Bhupali. Sa re ga pa dha sa. It's just 5 notes. Sa dha pa ga re sa. So it almost sounds really very sonorous, very meditative. But you replace one note. Sa re ma pa dha sa dha pa ma re sa. That becomes Durga. It's a completely different rag. So you just change one note, you just change ga to ma, and it becomes Durga. So this is the beauty of our music. And it's, of course, there are legends like Tansen singing Malhar. So when he composed Malhar to bring the rains down. And these are just incredible rags. When you, there's no other word to define them.
So I would also like to, of course, agree with Olokamashi that definitely it is like jazz because you have a lot of creativity. But of course, you have to limit yourself to the notes that are available in that particular rag, and of course the rhythm, the taal in which you are singing at that particular point of time. But of course there is creativity, and that is why it is, it is like jazz. But of course, as Aditya was saying, Indian music, like any form of music, is like, there's so much to learn, and it's a beautiful journey. But there is always more and more to learn.
There's no end to it. I mean, you can spend your whole lifetime with one rag, as I am trying to do. I mean, so Bhimpalasi is the only rag that enters my head, and I've been trying and trying and trying, and that's why you need a guru to constantly lead you and say, these are what's next, this is what's next. And you sit there and you say, you reach a plateau basically. These are the fixed notes. So how many times am I going to sing ni sa ma ga re sa? Okay, within that simple framework you have ni sa ma ga re sa re ni sa ma ga re sa. How many permutations and combinations can you make of that phrase? And this is what one constantly struggles with. How do you bring out the rag? How do you bring out the phraseology? How do you spread it to people? How do you make them understand? So this is the maddening exercise, lifelong. So that's what keeps us busy. Any other questions, comments, brickbats, tomatoes?
It was very good. Thanks.
Thank you, Panchali. It's a very partial comment from a classmate and friend. Thank you.
Well, thank you both very much for a beautiful presentation.
Thank you all.
I think we had some comments in the chat section that people enjoyed it. Yeah, there are just a few chat comments, and people enjoyed it very much and learned a lot too. Yeah, it's very, very interesting to have the cross-cultural influences.
And thanks for the opportunity.
So thank you, everyone.
Thanks for the opportunity. And like I said, the CIF is, and all our extended friends and family are just that. They are family. So it's...
Thank you very much. And we appreciate you. So does anyone else have anything else they would like to share at this time? From Aditya to everyone. Thanks, everyone. And thank you. And I would like to just say, well, Aditya has a birthday coming up this week, I think on Tuesday. So we would all like to wish you a very, very happy
And
birthday.
happy
And
birthday to your sister too, Shipradi.
oh yeah, my sister has a birthday coming up on the same day. Yeah. Yeah. So and then we have Thanksgiving coming up on Thursday of this week. So I'd like to wish everyone a very, very happy Thanksgiving and a
Same to you.
holiday weekend.
Happy Thanksgiving
Yes.
all. Absolutely.
Yes. Everything is a little bit subdued this year because of all the COVID concerns, but we will all get through this. We'll all get through it just fine. So we will be closed next Sunday for the Thanksgiving holiday weekend. And then on December 6th, the following Sunday, Ted Nordquist will speak on Christ consciousness. So the theme for December will be on Christ. Yeah. And Christmas holiday will be coming up and we'll be closed for the, we'll be closed until January 10th, at which time we will celebrate Sally Love Saunders' birthday. And we'll start off the new year with a poetry festival. So I'm sorry, my phone is ringing. I'm gonna just. Did that. I'm not taking the call right now. So, okay, well, thank you everyone very much for joining us today. And very happy Thanksgiving and very happy,
Thank you all.
well, Christmas will be coming up. So we will not be able to have our normal holiday party as we have in past years. But I wish everyone a very happy holiday season.
Same to all of you.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes, and you both did just such a superb job.
Oh,
You
that's
know,
kind.
it's so lovely to hear your music.
Very
And
kind.
thank you for sharing the background too of your gurus and all the learning that you've done and all the practice. I know it takes so much practice
No,
to.
we've been very lucky, I tell you, with the teacher is everything, like in all fields, and really in all fields. Their approach to music, I mean, Lukhida always used to say, music is between you and God. It doesn't matter if there are 1,000 people in the audience or 10,000. It's a meditative practice, and that's
It is a very meditative practice, a very spiritual practice,
so much.
and
Yeah.
I think I've also heard that it's like food. You know, you don't have to worry about it. You get hungry and there it is.
Right.
You eat, you sing, you whatever. Okay, thank you everyone very much.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye bye,
Bye.
everyone. Stay safe and happy Thanksgiving to all. Namaskar.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you.